And then please find your seat on your mat, on a blanket. Make yourself comfortable. And I invite you to close your eyes or lower your eyelids, whichever you prefer. Take a moment to just really settle in and arrive. Connect with your breath. And begin to slow it down for our practice of yin this morning. Long-held poses most definitely benefit by long, deep breaths, both in and out. Really assisting the fascia to recognize that it's okay to let go. Our bodies communicate within the body itself, one system with another system, all working in harmony towards what we call homeostasis or balance within the body, the best harmonious state of being, homeostasis. Once you feel grounded and present, do your best to lengthen your spine, feeling into the sits bones, into the legs, feeling grounded and supported. And then create this intention of lifting and lengthening the spine, the torso, the side bodies, the waists, all the way up through the crown of the head, allowing the shoulders to rest away from the ears. Each time we practice in this way, we send messages to our bodies, helping them, teaching them to relax and let go. Which of course isn't the cultural prevailing way of being. So it's of great benefit to take these moments to really practice relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw, supporting the spine, relaxing the breath and relaxing the mind, withdrawing from all the external goings on in the world, in our lives, in our day, and just coming into this present moment, right here and now. Feeling the breath, feeling the inhalation and the exhalation, even counting the inhalation, the counts of an inhale and the counts of an exhale, getting so basic, so present. And bringing this presence with us into our practice this morning. This yin practice preparing the body's meridians for the spring, which is just upon us now. The liver and the gallbladder, particularly. Letting go of any emotions that don't serve us well, such as anger, frustration, whatever it may be, letting it go. And take a moment, if it feels resonant for you this morning, and just check in. Check in with that inner being that is you. See if there is an intention or some guidance for your practice, for your day, whatever. And bringing metta into our practice this morning, practicing for ourselves or another, whatever feels best for you. It is a practice to practice for oneself. There's often a lot of resistance in practicing loving kindness for oneself. So if you notice that there is that, perhaps it's a benefit to go ahead and practice for you. So just some simple phrases this morning. May I be present and peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. May I be kind and compassionate. May I live and practice with ease and grace. May I be present and peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. May I be kind and compassionate. May I live and practice with ease and grace. May I be present and peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. May I be kind and compassionate. May I live and practice with ease and grace. Please bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of your heart. Let's chant that primordial sound, knowing that as well as chanting the sound, we stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system with the placement of the lips. So let's really enunciate here, taking a couple of cleansing breaths first. Deep breath in, and let that breath go. Another deep breath in, and let that go too. And then a big breath in to begin. Aum. And then letting the hands come to rest on the knees or into your lap. Please lift your eyelids and let the vision come back to clarity with ease. It will come. Let's begin our practice just simply by taking some seated cat-cows. Take it with your own breath, letting your heart guide you forward as you inhale, drawing you forward, lengthening the spine. And then as you exhale, draw the belly in and back. Take it nice and slow. Inhaling, draw the shoulder blades towards one another on the back body, opening the heart. And as you exhale, press into your knees with the palms of your hands and draw your belly back and in. Extend the spine long as you inhale. And then we flex the spine as we draw the belly back and round through the back body. Taking this nice, slow articulation of the spine. Warming it up. Broadening those collarbones. Couple more. Think of yourself as a beautiful fern waving in the wind, unfurling as you lengthen and come forward, blowing and bending as you take it back. And after your next complete cycle, please come back to your nice tall spine. Notice your shoulders and let them settle down towards your hips. Take a couple of breaths. We're going to take a wide child's pose. And we'll just, you might want a blanket. We'll just take our knees nice and wide on the mat, stimulating the meridians that run both on the external part of the thighs and hips, as well as internal. So bringing your big toes together, sitting your sits bones down towards your heels, and of course, modify as feels best for your practice. Once you drop your upper body towards the earth, you can cross your arms and rest your head either on your hands or your wrists, your arms, or maybe down to the mat. Perhaps starting a little higher and then moving down. And we will be here for a few minutes. So if you enjoy a blanket between the thighs and the calves, please place one there. A towel can be nice, placed there as well. Once you arrive in this wide child's pose, soften your face. Soften your shoulders, relax your arms completely. Breathe and relax into the pose, into the posture. And when sensation begins to arrive, do your best to breathe into it. If there's discomfort, See if you can sense the difference between discomfort and pain, sharp pain. And as you notice your face drawing down towards the floor, do your best to completely let go. Let your face feel as though it's falling right off. Stay with your breath. Breathing into the back body, into the space in the hips and the sacrum. And you can breathe into the mid-back if that feels good. The upper chest, the upper rib cage. And this is a lovely opportunity to breathe circumferentially into your rib cage in all 360 degrees. Again, as you notice sensations arising, see if you can simply breathe into those. There's a quality of expanding into the space of the sensation rather than even mentally pushing against it. Training the mind staying peaceful and present with what is in the moment. May I be present and peaceful. And always feel free to make any little adjustments that might show up. You can move your hands forward as you lower your head to the mat, perhaps. We'll stay here for 3 to 5 more breaths, long, deep breaths. And now please bring your hands to the mat. Spread your fingers wide. Support yourself under your shoulders and press up. Good. Lengthen your spine and carefully lift your knees back to hip width distance apart. And then come to a brief table pose and simply send your hips from side to side. Doing your best to keep your spine long, staying mindful. Beautiful. And now, coming off of your blanket, fold it in this manner. We're going to practice Sphinx pose, and seal is an option as well. And of course, I think you all know by now, we'll be placing the blanket under our pelvis. Like so. So you want your hips to be supported by the blanket. Once you arrive prone on your mat, bring your elbows under your shoulders, please. And you can either clasp your hands or place your forearms on the mat. I actually prefer placing my forearms and my hands on the mat. We want to engage the muscles in our yin practice and not just hang in the joints. So starting with your fingertips and your hands, you can press the fingertips into the mat, press the palms into the mat. Engage from the inner elbow to the inner armpit, and then bring your awareness to the outer armpit and engage the muscles on the outside of your arm down to the outer elbow. So we're co-contracting those muscles. Then draw the shoulder blades towards one another on the back body and down towards the hips. Make sure to press the tops of the feet into the mat and then draw your pubic bone towards your navel, sending the tailbone towards your heels. Making sure not to over compress your lumbar spine. That's why we place the blanket under the hips. And then as you remain in this posture, you can really press the fingertips into the mat and kind of claw them in and pull your heart forward, making sure to continue to zip up from the pubic bone to the belly button, lengthening through the neck and the crown of the head. Remember to breathe. Nice long breaths in and longer breaths out. Keep hugging the muscles to the bones in the legs. Keep the legs active. So we're really engaging muscle energy all the way from the toes up. We're engaged. Expanding through the front body, strengthening the back body. Soften the face. That's the only part that's relaxed, the face and the neck to some degree. Keep the arms active, the fingertips active. And at any time, you can take your hands to the corners of your mat, turn the fingertips out, and press up into seal, which I am not going to stay in. I'm going to stay in Sphinx because of issues in my wrist. But you can come in and out or stay in seal pose if you like. or Sphinx or both. Stay with your breath, present and peaceful, healthy and strong, kind and compassionate, living and practicing with ease and with grace. Staying with your breath. And letting go of all emotions that trigger us into qualities that we might want to let go of in this new beginning, this season of new beginnings. We'll be here for a few more breaths. 3, 4 more breath cycles. And then we can lower down, bring the hands under the forehead and lower your forehead onto your hand. From here, send your hips gently from side to side, just letting the ligaments around the sacrum unwind and return to neutral. And I invite you to turn your head to the right and take your right knee out to the side. Side lying posture. Again, assisting the sacrum to return to a sense of neutrality. We'll stay here for 3 more breath cycles. And then please come back to center. Bring your leg back and your head back to the center, and we'll take the other side. Turn your head to the left and bring your knee out to the left as well. We'll stay here for a few breaths. And after your next full cycle of breath, Please return back to the center of your mat. And you can bring your hands under your shoulders and press up and come to sit on your knees for a moment, or any way that feels best in your body. And we'll practice swan and sleeping swan. So for this, it's best if you have either a bolster or 2 blankets folded like this. I don't know why I didn't bring 2 blankets, but I didn't. And you can place your bolster where the blankets would be, across the mat horizontally, and then bring a couple of blocks to the top of your mat. If you have tender knees and you have an extra blanket, you might spread one behind either your bolster or your 2 blankets. And from here, we're going to step the right foot forward. And there's a number of different things we can do from here. We're just going to keep the foot right where it is. Turn your left toes under behind you, and then press up and take the knee back just a little bit farther. Rest it on your blanket. Take a few breaths here. And then pointing your toe back behind you, heel toe your front foot over to the other side of the mat and let it come down to the mat. Walk your blocks forward and let your hips sink down onto that blanket or blankets and your bolster. Now, some of you might actually enjoy staying up on your blocks. And we can stay right here in swan pose. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. Some of you might enjoy bringing your hands to the mat. Whatever feels best in your body, do that. Breathe into the stretch along the outer right side of the thigh, as well as the stretch along the inside of both thighs. And at any time, you can begin to lower down into sleeping swan. I'm going to move my blocks out of the way and come down onto my elbows to begin. And bring some awareness to your hips here. So notice if your left hip is lifting up and you find yourself more on your right hip, see if you can lower your left hip towards the mat or towards the bolster or the blanket. If your front foot is in a position where you're cranking your ankle, dorsiflex that foot. So you keep your ankle in alignment, your foot, your ankle, and your shin bone in a nice alignment. As you breathe here in this pose, you might find yourself able to lower down even more. It's a deeper stretch along the right hip, outer hip, inner groin, all activating the gallbladder and the liver meridians. Perhaps you lower your head down to the mat or to your arms. You can also place a block under your forehead. Whatever feels best in your particular practice. Doing your best to keep your spine long. If you're hunching, it would be best to use the block. Softening through the shoulders, the upper back. Stay with your breath here. Softening into the pose, allowing those fibers to stretch. And staying present in this moment with sensation, intention, breath. With kindness and compassion for yourself. Practicing with ease and grace. And we'll stay here for a few more breaths. On your next inhalation, we're going to begin to press up, coming back up. Maybe you find your blocks now. Begin to lift up. And then we'll turn the back toes under and lift that back leg. Take a few breaths here. And then you can lower down. From here, you want to bring your blocks up a little higher. Turn your back toes under and come back to your knees. And if you'd like, you can send your hips from side to side. And then we'll step the left foot forward. Take your back toes, turn them under and press up. Nice lunge. It feels good in that hip, doesn't it? Take a breath in and then lower the knee to the mat. And we'll walk this foot to the other side of the mat. And again, dorsiflex the foot to protect the ankle. Notice your ankle, and if you find it twisting, you want to dorsiflex the foot. Take a breath in and extend long through the crown of your head. This side might feel very different from the other side. Maybe you lower your blocks, or maybe you bring your hands to the mat, whatever feels best for you in your practice. And then begin to come all the way down Let your hips find their way down to the surface beneath you. And maybe you stay right here. Or maybe you come down onto your elbows. And feel into the pose, into the posture. Breathing into the sensations as they arise. You can always use a block to support your head. And again, if you find yourself on your hip with your other hip rising, see if you can roll yourself so that your right hip is reaching towards the surface below you. Evening out your hips best you can. Noticing the differences between each side. And of course, breathing into the intense or not so intense sensations that show up in your body, in your practice. And stay with your breath. Again, practicing patience, presence, peacefulness in this pose. Letting go of emotions and thoughts that are not so beneficial. Staying with your breath. Long, deep breaths in. Long breaths out. A wonderful opportunity to practice metta. May I be peaceful and present in this moment with these sensations. May I be healthy and strong, stimulating the liver and gallbladder meridians for my health and well-being. May I be kind and compassionate in these moments of more intensity. May I practice with ease and grace. May I live with ease and grace. I'll stay here for just a few more breaths, knowing that you can modify and come out to whatever degree is best in your body. Always listening to the inner body. And then begin, if you're in sleeping swan, to press up. Find your blocks. We're going to turn those back toes under and lift the back leg for a few breaths. And then lower the leg to the mat. Come on up. Turn your back toes under and press up. You can come back to your knees and send your hips from side to side. Okay, from here, we're going to take a seat. You might want to have your blocks right nearby. 1 or 2 blankets. Find what feels best in your practice. And we're going to practice shoelace or half shoelace, so it's up to you. Now, shoelace pose, which again is a little bit of an intense pose that looks like this. You can practice like this, or you can take your legs out in front of you. Make sure you're sitting on the front edge of your blanket and that you've got your pelvis in that nice 30-degree tilt. So find that first. And if you choose half shoelace pose, you can take your right leg and give your hip a nice little friendly lube job. Keeping the right leg nice and stable, knee to the sky. You can bring your knee, your leg, your foot over to the left. Again, notice your ankle. You don't want to do this because that's putting a lot of strain on the outer ligaments. So it's important to keep your foot dorsiflexed so the ankle maintains that line with the shin bone. From here, if it feels good in your body, you can bring your extended leg around to the side. Also, I didn't bring extra blankets, but you can either way, whether your leg is extended out or wrapped around. If your knees lift up, you can place a blanket in between your legs. Remember to keep your feet dorsiflexed, whether you're in half shoelace or the full pose. Do your best to keep your spine long, and if it's helpful to place your hands on blocks, please do. Whatever will support you best in this pose, in this practice, please use your props. And then we're going to breathe. Feel the sensations along the outer hip flexors, along the meridian lines of the thighs. That looks beautiful. Yay. Watch those ankles. Keep your ankles, your feet active. That's great. Breathe into the sensations. Spine is long, shoulders relaxed. Deep, long breaths in and out. Practicing allowing what is to simply be, being in the moment, present, at peace. And acceptance. Without resisting, letting go of frustrations, judgments, criticisms, opinions, just being. Breathing, feeling the sensations. As we sit and breathe into this experience, into these opening stretches of deep, deep muscles, deep fascia, areas that have held for long periods, you might feel a flood of emotion, of all kinds of different sensations, feelings, thoughts rise up and pass through. The hips, these deep hip flexors, are known as places that hold a lot of deep emotional experience. Stay with the breath, allowing. We'll stay here for just a few more breaths, just the way we are. Notice your face, your jaw, shoulders and neck. Allow them to be soft. And if it feels good in your body, we can add on a lateral stretch by taking your left hand to either a block or the mat, whatever works best for you, and taking just a small stretch. Don't have to lift your arm. You don't have to take this lateral stretch for that matter. Do your best to keep your right sits bone drawing down towards the earth, just softening into the stretch, allowing that stretch along the side body through the hip. Allow the fascia to release nice and slow. Softening into the stretch. Certainly you can come in and out, finding what feels right in your body in this practice. And you can come up at any time or stay. Mindful of the ankles. We'll stay for just a couple more breaths. And then gently pressing up. And then take your hands back behind you and unwind. Give your legs a shake, whatever feels good. It's a lot of intensity, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's take the other side. And for this, you can keep your right leg extended long. Lube job for the left hip. Getting that synovial fluid into the hip socket. And then up and over, dorsiflexing the left ankle and foot. Option to keep just like this, or bring your right foot around. Making sure you're sitting on your blanket in such a way that your hips are in that forward nutation. That really helps. Do your best to let both sits bones find their way into a nice supported sensation on the blanket. Lengthen the spine. Breathe again, breathing into the sensations as they arise. You can support yourself well by drawing the belly in, lengthening the spine, softening the shoulders, the neck, the jaws. And then breathing into those sensations as they blossom. It's the fascia stretching, your connective tissue stretching. Send your breath slow and long right into the space of those sensations. See if you can transform your orientation, the way you relate to the sensations as though they're wonderful, welcoming them. They don't have to be a negative experience. Can reset our orientation towards these things. Feeling deeply into the space of the hips. These energy channels that run along the side bodies, that run through us all over. And meridians are a traditional Chinese medicine way of looking at what's going on in the body. In yoga, it's thought of, in traditional yoga practices, these are nadis, energy centers, and there's over 72,000 of them throughout the body that we can work with cooperatively, letting go of held blockages of energy as it wants to move through freely. Stay with the breath, softening the jaw, some awareness for the ankles. Present, peaceful, loving and kind and compassionate. Practicing and living with ease grace. Couple of more breaths here, just as we are, and then we can take that lateral side bend if it feels appropriate in your practice. Taking a breath in and then seeing where you go. If your body is anything like my body, this side is like someone else's body. Whose body is this one? This side? It's my body. Keeping that sits bone best you can, anchored to the earth, and simply allowing, once again, allowing the unraveling, the letting go. Just letting it be, letting it go. Breathing in and out. And we'll stay for 3 to 5 more breaths, about 30 more seconds. Really letting go of a lot. I speak for myself. I am really letting go of a lot. I can feel it. Kind of a very intense yet joyful experience of letting go of stuff that I know has been held for a long time. Take a couple more breaths right here. And then begin to lift back up. Once you arrive vertically, kick your hands behind you and lean into the hands. Lift your legs and unravel, unwind. Shake it out, or whatever feels good. Whatever feels good, do that. And find your blocks. We're going to take our legs out wide for dragonfly pose. Maybe you want to move your blanket back just a little bit. And once you arrive, make sure your toes and your knees are facing towards the sky and press your heels into the mat. We want to stay engaged here. Again, using muscle energy, press the heels into the mat, and if your knees tend to hyperextend, place blankets under them. Keep them soft. So even though we're extending and hugging in, lots of muscle energy in the legs, in the feet, all the way up, the knees are soft and we're not pressing them into the mat, into the earth. Extend the spine. So make sure you're sitting on a blanket so that you rotate the hips in that 30-degree rotation, in that 30-degree tilt forward. So you're not caving into the back body, hunching back, but sitting up. Draw your heart forward. walk yourself. You can take your hands behind you and walk your hips into that nutation. You can place your hands on your blocks. And soften your face. Draw your belly in. Lift your heart. Draw your ears back towards the wall behind you. Sit up tall. Breathe and soften in. At any time, you can hinge at the hip. Maybe you lean your forearms on your mat. And if you find yourself rolling back, maybe the legs need to come more forward or not. Staying with your practice, enjoy your breath. Gallbladder runs internally along the inside of the thighs, pressing out through the soles of the feet can be really beneficial in assisting this forward fold. Breathe into the sensations here. Nice long breaths. Deep breaths in, long breaths out. Do your best to keep your spine long. We'll stay here for a few more breaths. And come back to a nice, tall, vertical spine. Let yourself just simply settle in. And then again, you can bring your hands behind you. Do your best not to hang into your shoulders. Lean back and bring your feet mat width distance apart. And then let the knees rotate from side to side. Beautiful. From here, we'll come into butterfly pose. And you can use your blocks, place them under your knees. You can bring your feet close to your sits bones or a little further away. So if you are hunching or flexing through the back body, curving into the back of your spine, then take your legs a little bit further and draw yourself upright. Make sure that you're sitting in such a way so you're sitting on the anterior portion of your sits bones. Use your blanket, your props to help you. Listen to your body. Find what feels right and good for your practice. Enjoy your breath here. Draw your shoulder blades towards one another on your back body. Draw your belly in. Lift your heart. Lengthen your spine. Enjoy the breath, the soft flow of the inhalation as well as the exhalation. Soft base, soft jaw, soft shoulders. We'll be here for about 3 more breaths. And then from here, we're going to transition onto our backs. Bring your blocks. We're going to take the same pose, supine. As you come onto your back, do your best to use your core to roll down. Bring your feet together, and you can place the blocks under your thighs or your knees if that's beneficial, if that's helpful. Lengthen your spine. Take your arms out to either side. Lengthen the skin along the back of your neck. And notice where your lower back is. And if it's arched up, lifted up, do your best to draw it down a little bit more towards the mat. Take some nice deep breaths here. Soften your shoulders towards the earth. Deep breaths in and out. And we'll stay for a couple more breath cycles. And then you can take your hands to the outside of your thighs, help your legs back up, and then reach your legs long. Find your way into Shavasana. Create some space in between your thighs. Support yourself in any way that feels good in your body. Cover up. Use your bolsters under your knees, whatever feels good for you today in your practice. If you can take your arms out to either side, draw your shoulder blades under your back and turn your palms towards the sky. Let your toes turn out if that feels good in your body. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, let that breath flow all the way out like a wave out the soles of your feet. And then take another wonderful deep breath in. And again, let that wave of breath move all the way down and out the soles of your feet. Take a breath into the space between your legs. And as you exhale, let everything go. All the tension, anything you're holding, let it go all the way out. Next breath in, breathe into the space between your side bodies and your arms. Exhale everything that you can out. Let it go. Take another breath into the space between your shoulders and your ears. And let that all go too. Feel how heavy your bones are becoming. Your bones becoming denser and denser, heavier and heavier. So heavy they've sunk into your mat. And are sinking down into the earth. The muscles of your body unraveling away from the bones. And sinking down into your mat and into the earth. Then your skin melting away from the muscles and the bones. Melting away into your mat, into the earth. Begin to feel your breath, awareness to the breath, the sensation of the rise and the fall of the breath in the chest and the belly, welcoming the breath. And then beginning to feel the body, the fingertips, the toe tips, rubbing your thumbprint along each fingertip, wiggling the toes, circling wrists and ankles in both directions. And then taking a deep breath in and a wonderful feel-good stretch. Lift your arms, point your toes. Do what feels good in your body. Take any movement that might feel good. And then take a breath in and roll to your right side. And there you lay for a few breaths, letting your practice settle in completely. And then using your arms and your hands, take another breath in and press up. Find your way to your seat. And bring your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. And bowing your head to your heart in gratitude. Gratitude for one another, the ones seen and not seen, the ones here and not here. Gratitude for all the teachings, the teachers, and the various practices that guide us forward. And gratitude for all of our ancestors, everyone, and for life and breath and this moment and this moment, every moment. And let's join together in sending out metta into all the vast infinitude that we know not completely of. May all beings everywhere be happy, peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected, filled with loving kindness, forgiveness, and compassion. May all beings everywhere live with ease and grace all the days of their lives. Thank you so much for joining with me and sending that out. Let's close with one Om. We'll simply inhale and begin. Om. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your commitment to your practice, for practicing with one another and with practicing with me. So much love for each of you, from my heart to yours. Namaste.